Hello friends, welcome to Help Me Coder, the channel which talks about technology and helps the coder community out there. And in this part 10 of Power Automate series, we are going to look into variable, where we're going to dive into what these variables are, how do you use them, and what are the different types of variables available in Power Automate. So let's quickly jump in. Variables are like small containers that hold information during your flow execution. Programming, you have these variables which can store different kind of data inside them, and you can use them during the whole flow execution. The point to note is when you define a variable inside Power Automate, you need to make sure you first initialize them or define them at the very start. You need to come up with a name of that variable, then what kind of data type it will store. So it can store integer, it can store string, it can store float. So you have to choose what kind of data they will carry or hold. So once you choose that, you can also define the name of that variable, because you will be referring this variable throughout your flow using this particular name. So that is also very important. So till now what we have covered is append to string variable, we have covered increment variable, decrement variable is similar to increment, and then the initialize variable for all these different types like int and everything. We have learned all those things, how do we use that. Next thing is what is arrays and how do you use arrays inside Power Automate. So arrays is a very important concept. I think if you have learned in other programming languages, the concept remains the same. You basically club or store multiple items in one variable. So here, as a definition says, it is a collection of items stored together in one variable. So if you have an array of fruits, imagine you are storing all the fruits together in one variable. Collection of items can be your strings, it can be even integers, it can be even objects. So you can have multiple objects stored inside an array. That brings to another concept called as object. So object, if I tell you on a high level, we will refer it later. If you want to refer a particular record of a particular person, one record only, then you use object. So you say object of, imagine there is a car, you would describe a car, the car name is Toyota, the number of color is this, the number is this. So all these things is talking about one single item, that is called as an object. So you can refer to as an object. So this from this employee name, employee Alice, amount 300 is an object. So when you are using array of object, which is really the thing that you will be using most often in Power Automate, then you will be using array of object, means collection of objects combined together. Now there are different collection of items, different things you can use. Array of string, array of integers. When you use arrays, you can refer them directly. So imagine here, if I want to refer or get information out of this array, I can just say give me the name of the array and the 0th location. So array works from 0 location, first location, second location. When I say second, I will get Carol, first I will get Bob, 0 I will get an Alice. Similarly over here, 0th is 100, 1 is 200, 300 is second. So to refer an array, to extract data from an array is easier. To add an item to an array is very easy. It starts with this brackets, and then you, based on what kind of data you are storing, you will store these items in double curly, or if it is number, you can just store it directly. Then array of object is that the one single object you will be storing like in these braces over here, and then you will be storing all these different objects inside one bracket. Now if you want to refer arrays of strings, I told you earlier, whatever the name of the array, bracket, 0th location, you get Alice. But in objects it's not that easy. You have to first refer to the object. So when you say 0 object, you are referring to this employee detail, which is employee Alice and amount 300. But instead in that, if you want to refer to employee, you will have to say bracket employee. So something like this. So if you refer this one variable, but the name of the array is employee of array, and then you start with 0th location, which is the employee Alice, amount 3000, and then if you want to get the employee data only, then you will say employee, then you will get Alice, and you'll see in the demo. So that is all about arrays. Now why we use arrays over regular variables? If you have Alice, Bob and Carol as a single value stored inside a string variable, single value, you can store only one value, and then it is hard to split. So if you want to split, you need to have a delimiter like a comma. Then you will say I will split it in based on comma. As soon as you split, it becomes an array. So that is, it is messy and you get limited functionality. So it is a single variable. Adding a new value is also difficult. Removing or interchanging things will become difficult. Doing any kind of operation is difficult. But when you use array, then you can store multiple values. Easy to loop over it, means you can go use for each and you can easy to loop over it, and you can do operations on each and every value easily. They are very structured and flexible. So that's the advantage of array over regular variable. Let's quickly go into demo and see how we use arrays inside Power Automate.
So let's start on a new flow. I will go and create a instant cloud flow, manually trigger a flow. I will name this flow as learning array. I'll click on create. Then this is a manually trigger a flow. First thing I have to do is I have to connect to the SharePoint list. So this is the expense claim list that I will be using for doing this demo, which has Bob, Alice, David, Carol, and then the amount and their status. So what I want to do is, first I want to extract out all the employees information, store it in an array. First thing, I want to connect to this SharePoint list. So I will say SharePoint, and this will give me all these items. From here I will choose get items, quickly connecting to my list site. This is a site, and then my expense claim list. So now, as we learned earlier, we have to initialize our variable before we can use them. So I will go and initialize this variable. I will name this variable as where employee names. So I will store all the employee names over here. In this case, I will use an array. I can leave the initial variable as empty. I can name this as string array for easy identification. Then what I will do is, because I have to add all the different names inside this array, I have to loop through the get items. So I will be using a control. In this control, I will be choosing apply to each. I will just connect it to my previous action, which is get items, which will contain all the different items. Now I have to, as I have already initialized the string array, I have to add one item at a time to this array. So again, I will go to the variable and I will choose append to array variable this time. Instead of append to string variable as we saw in the last video, we choose append to array variable. And if you see, when we do this drop down, you will get your array, which is variable employee name. I will just choose that, and then we need to add that value, the name value that is coming into this particular array. And will, from the get items, I will choose the item as title, because that is the name of the column. So now it is adding all the titles, different title names of the employees into this employee name. Now if I want to print this, I will say compose, again using it to print the value, and you can just print this array. So to print this array, I can say just use this variable, which is employee name, and it will print all the items that it has collected inside this array. So I can just say print string array employees. Okay, so now it will print all the employee details. What if I want to extract a particular employee? Okay, so that one also let me show in the same thing. So to extract one single item, like item number 2, I can just mention this inside brackets over here. So now if I click on this add, I will save this. So before we test this, let me show you one more thing where I will be adding a compose, and I will show you how easy it is to manipulate these arrays. So this array of string, right now we are getting data in order like Bob, Alice, David, and which is not in ascending order based on the employee name. If I want to order this using the array, I will show you how easy it is. So let us take this array. So this array is contained inside this variable employee name. Now this is an array.
what I want to do is I want to sort it. So what I can do is I can write this function over here, sort. There is a function called sort, so the IntelliSense will help you. When you use the sort function, inside this you can pass the array which you want to sort. So by default it will sort in ascending order, sort array. I will just name this. So now let me test this flow. So don't worry about this warning, I have saved it. Now I will test this automatically. You can see that so all the items in the order in which it is inside the list, these have been inserted and an array has been created where these items have been inserted. And if I want to extract, I extracted the second item which is 0, 1 and 2, the second item. So it gave me David. If I would have said 0, it would have given me Bob. So this is how you extract the item. Then on array you can run various functions, like one of the functions that we ran just now was to sort the item. So if you show the raw output as well, it is now sorted in ascending order, A, B, C and D, Alice, Bob, Carol and David. So how easy it is to manipulate the array. Now this we discussed about one single item being inserted inside an array. So this is string of array. So mostly you will see in the real life scenario that you will be working on array of object. So what is an object here? So here Bob with an amount of 3000 expense and status is approved is one single object. Then we have this another object with Alice amount of 8000 and pending. So we have 4 different objects here. So I can store all this information nicely in an array of object. And how do you go about doing it? So let's again click on edit. We have to again start with initialization. This variable is, we can say, employee details. So because it contain all details of employee. So how we are storing this, I can just name it as var emp details. I would just name it as array and I will leave it as blank as of now, so that is no item here. Now for each iteration that we are running, earlier we were just extracting out one single item which is the name of the person, but here I will be extracting out the whole details about the employee. So here I will say append to array variable again, but in this time we will choose where employee name or where employee details, so all the employee details will be added. Now the point to note over here is, how do you define your object? How do you collect that value? So first thing first, when you are defining an object, you have to start with these braces. So these are curly braces that you will put, and inside this curly braces you will first provide the key value pair details. So the key is the name that you want to give to this property. So for example, for our first case, I want to put it as name. All key values needs to be enclosed in the double quote. Then I would have to give the actual name that we are getting from this apply to each. So to get that, you can use this dynamic thing to get the data. So if I go back inside get item, the title is the name actually. So I would just say title, I would put a comma. Point to note is that if your data that is coming is in string, you need to enclose this inside double quote. So I will enclose this inside double quote here. Then I will get another data. So I will put expense here inside double quote, and then again this time because it is a number, I don't have to put it inside these double quotes over here. I can just keep it like this, and I will put a comma again, and then the last one is your status. So these are key values that you are providing. You can give any name of it. Then this is also a string, so I will put it under double quotes, and I dynamically will choose the value as amount. No, sorry, this is your status value, and I'll put it into this. Now I don't want to put comma at the last one. This one you can leave as it is, and that's it. So this is array of object. So now you will see that all the details will be stored nicely inside this var employee details variable, because we are using array of objects. Now how do you print it? Print is simple. You just do have to, I'll use again a compose. You have to just call that variable name. So I will say variable employee detail. If I want to check on a particular item inside that array of objects. So imagine again I want to extract David here. In this case, how do you go about extracting it? So in this case, you click on this fx if you want to extract one single item out of array of objects. So first thing first, you need to select the variable. So our variable is employee details, but this time around I want again the second object, which is this object, David 112,000 and approved, but I want only the word David this time. So this thing will not give you the same, it will give you the whole object. And you have to again add one more thing, which is you need to provide the key name. We have provided it as name, so the name will contain the value David. So this one, once done, I would say click on add. I can say print array of objects, and then that's it, I think. So let us save this and then test it once again. Okay, so now if I show you the array of object, so this is the all the details, all the different objects that I have extracted out, which is based on key value pair. Everything is extracted out, and it is an array, because if you see, this is the braces that you see, the square brackets at the start and the end, and this inside these curly braces are individual objects, and this is the name that I have extracted out of the second object, which is this is 0th object, this is first object, and then this is first object, and this is the name that I have extracted using the key value, which is the name is the key, and the value that you will get automatically is the David. So this is how you use array of object and array of string. Now let's quickly dive into the other part of our video. So now we are going to look into objects. We have already discussed about objects in our previous section where we discussed about array of objects. You can think about objects as a one single row of data in your Excel file, or one form record, means a data which talks about one single record. So imagine being you have an database which talks about employees. So one single employee information, like his employee name, employee age, employee salary, all this data is considered as one object. Now how do you represent it? So to represent an object, you need to have curly braces. Inside the curly braces, you will have key and value pair. Now the key, when you define the name of the key, you always enclose it within double quotes, like you see over here, where we are enclosing ID in double quote, name in double quote, price and in stock in double quote. So you always enclose it in double quotes. Now the value that you bring in front of the key, that depends upon what kind of value you are adding to it. So in case of ID, which is a number, you don't need to enclose it in double quote, it is directly you can write it over there. But if it is a string, then you do need to enclose it with double quotes. Then you have a comma which separates one key value pair from another key value pair. So this object talks about one single record. So we have already seen objects in our previous demo, and we know how do we refer to those objects. The only difference is there we are using array of object, where we need to have square braces to tell you which item of an array of object you are referring to. But here, as we don't have an array, it is just a straight object, one single, then you don't need to specify that. So whatever is the name of your object, name of that object, then directly you can refer the key value, which is example in this case price. Then what is the difference between objects versus array? Objects basically store single record, while arrays store multiple records, like in array of objects. Objects work on key value pair, so you have a key and a value, and you refer a particular key, as I showed you earlier, to get that particular value. While in array, you basically have to have list, you are having a list of items and you refer by their index number. First item is index 0, then it is 1, then it is 2. So you refer them by their index numbers. That is what the third point is, also identified by property name. This is by index number. The next point, append and loop. Appending is or looping is not possible in object, because you see that object is inside one curly braces and you can't run a loop in it because there is one item only. But while in array you have multiple set of items, so that's why you can do looping. Appending also in array is possible. So you have n number of array items and you can add an item inside that array. But in objects, there is nothing concept as appending, because when you do add some key or value, basically what you are doing is redrawing the whole object. So that's why append and loop is not required or not possible in object while it is in array. Common use for objects and array as here follows. Objects are used when storing details of one item, as I mentioned, working with single SharePoint item while handling one API response. So for those things we use object, but when we talk about array, it is about multiple items, multiple SharePoint list items, multiple Excel rows that you are processing. So these are the differences between objects versus array. I think you would have got a hang of what the objects and array are, and you have already seen me doing objects in the previous demo, so I don't think it makes sense to again do the same thing. But if you still need any questions, or if you have any questions, you can send back to them to me, and I will definitely get back to you in the comment section below. So thanks for watching this video, and if you have any questions, you can definitely get back to me in the comment section below, and I will definitely try my best to reply you over there. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe button on our channel Help Me Coder. This will keep us motivated so that we can bring awesome content in our future videos. Until next time, happy coding. Thank you.